it's man-made. Okay, that's just a picture of me. Here's Maxwell. I have another one in there, but he said it was terrible and I should put a better one in. I'm not a marine biologist. As I said, I got into this as an activist. What I am is a blogger, a social media specialist. I'm a campaigner, and I'll talk about that as we go. I work on a combination of issues worldwide, all year round and worldwide, so we do a lot of different things. There he is, environmental ed, the second part of my team, and here we are together. Meet the Champions for Cetaceans. We got together in 2010, and that's when we said, okay, what can we do? This is our blog, championsforcetaceans.com. It was created in December 2010. If you go there, please read the newer stuff, the newer stuff, because the older blogs are good, but not quite as well written. I've improved over the years. But when we started out, we maybe had, I don't know, 50 people come read a post. Now when we blog out, we get almost 5,000 that are waiting for Champions to publish a topic. So, you know, it's gone very well for us. You can go on, Samantha. And then this is our Twitter account. Today, the power of Twitter is known worldwide. We work with hashtags and tweet storms. It's a very powerful platform as far as social media because basically the media recognizes it. If you can get CNN or someone, they're always watching the tweets to see what's coming up. And a hashtag, I don't know if I have one up there, but I'll show you a hashtag later. We have our Facebook page, Champions for Cetaceans. That's the amount of the 3,800 likes. That's the reach, 28,000 to 30,000 people a week come and read what we've posted. And then the talking about is the people that come to the page and comment, and you comment back and answer questions. I'm an administrator on this page as well. It was created around the same time the Cove came out by a gal I work with by the name of Barbara Napoles. And she is a good friend of Rick O'Barry, who I'm sure everyone knows. He trained Flipper, and he is one of the stars of the movie The Cove. So he's basically who we support in helping dolphins in Japan. And this is another page that I work on. I Love Dolphins. They have 11,526 likes. They're, of course, anti-captivity, and again, working on the Cove. You can go ahead. So just to get to the topics tonight, my specialty is really captivity and capture. I mean, I started with sonar, and I'm still involved in it, but Dad really gets into the science. But I thought we could start with capture, go to hunting, acoustics, pollution, and then ways that people can get involved. So to start with captivity, I'm sure everyone here has seen or heard about the film Blackfish. And it basically, Gabrielle Copperwaith, the lady, the director of the movie, is a documentarian, and when she went into this to make this movie, she had no feelings one way or the other about captive cetaceans. She was interested in the topic because Don Branshaw was killed by Tilikum in 2010. And basically she was a trainer who had worked with him for many, many years. It was during a Dine with Shamu performance. He came up into the slide out. They can tell when a bucket of fish is getting low, so that was part of it. But what really ticked him off was when he did something that's called a pectoral wave, where they go all the way around the pool waving for the audience. And when she came back, she only wanted him to do half that wave. Well, he completed the entire circle. And so when he came around, instead of being rewarded, he was given a timeout, meaning he was not rewarded for doing what he did. So she took him around, he followed her to another area where they pretend like, and I say pretend because it's a very, the relationship between trainers and these huge, big-brained orcas is really, you know, the prison warden, the prison officer, and the person that's in jail. And when he came up onto the slide out, she, you know, got down close to him, and SeaWorld tried to say that he grabbed her by the ponytail, but in fact, he grabbed her by the arm, took her to the bottom of the pool, ate her arm, and scalped her. And that, to me, is not love or playfulness. And this all came out in the OSHA hearing, and OSHA was the one that really brought to light what was going on at SeaWorld. There's Tilikum right there. He was captured in 1983. You can see the way the dorsal fin is curled over. SeaWorld tries to tell people this is natural. But when you go up to the Puget Sound or see orcas in the wild, you rarely would ever see this. It's because they're in these pools. Orcas swim straight lines for hundreds of miles. SeaWorld has put them into little pools where they just go around and around and around. Part of the reason that I put in the section on Blackfish and the capture was because of the campaign we've got going for Lolita. She was captured in 1970 in Penn Cove, and I was just talking about that you know, to some people over here. They had captured orcas in Penn Cove, a gentleman by the name of Ted Griffin and his little group working with SeaWorld and selling to marine parks all over the world. At that time, they were given permits to go off the coast of Washington. Well, her pod is called the L pod. And what happened was, as the speedboats started to come after them, the males came right out and started leading them to the right. The females went to the left. They were going to protect the babies. But what they didn't think about was that human beings have airplanes. And so they flew over, the speedboats turned around, got away from the dads and the grandpas, and went after mom and all the babies. Here's Ted Griffin as he chases orcas right in our own Pacific Northwest. You know, and basically what they did was decimate and destroy this pod. The chances of it making it are very little. It was brutal what they did to these orcas, and Lolita was one of those orcas taken at Penn Cove. There were 5 or 6 orcas, and they're all dead except for Lolita. You can go ahead. This was one of the people that was there at the Penn Cove Roundup. You know, you can see what he says. The worst thing I've ever done is hunt for that whale. Out of that pod, L pod, they drowned 4 babies. Ted Griffin had them slit the bellies, fill them with rocks, and drop them to the bottom of the ocean. Well, in November of that year, a trawl fisherman came along and ran into those 4 babies, those infants. And when NOAA Fisheries saw this, they stopped SeaWorld and said, you're not getting any more whales. You're banned from U.S. waters. So that was how that ended in Penn Cove. Go ahead. This is Lolita today. Another podmate was with her named Hugo for the first 5 years of captivity. But he repeatedly smashed his head against the cement until he died. It took him about a year. Since that time, she's been there for 44 years about. She's been alone in that pen. And biologists from the Puget Sound went to Miami Seaquarium and put a hydrophone into the water and played the calls of L pod. And she cried and cried back because she recognized her family and she wants to go home. what people don't realize is that the orca brain is larger than our own. We don't understand their emotional center is like 4 times the size of man. So, you know, for us, we're insensitive compared to the orca. Here's Lolita's mother, Ocean Sun, and El Pod. She's got a younger sister. They remain in the Puget Sound today. Go ahead. Lolita, just recently, okay, they had listed El Pod as endangered, but they excluded Lolita, who was at the Miami Seaquarium, because she was captive. Well, it took PETA several years working with the Orca Network to bring a petition to NOAA demanding that they list her, give her an ESA listing. Well, first we went through a comment period asking NOAA to accept this petition. Now they've accepted the petition, and they had a comment period, and you can go ahead, Samantha, I don't know, oh, it doesn't say, but over 11,000, almost 13,000 people have commented asking that Lolita be listed as endangered. What makes her different than Tilikum and other captive orcas? Does anyone know? What makes her different? Okay, a lot of these orcas, they grind their teeth on cement in these tanks. It's like Jacques Cousteau's son said, I wanted to load the video in. He said it's like putting us in a dark room and leaving you there for a lifetime, never being able to see. Because their way of moving and finding direction is through the use of echolocation, which is useless. In a cement pool, the sound just bounces back, bounces back. But what is different about her? Her teeth are still good. She's of a childbearing age. Her family is still out there. And then go ahead to the next one. And they have a proposed sea-pen. Seattle, Washington, or the Washington area, as we all know, has done quite well with computers and computer companies. And the Orca Network, the previous slide I showed you, has a lot of backing from Microsoft and other companies that want to get her home to a sea-pen. She's worked at the Miami Seaquarium for 44 years, being fed dead fish all alone. And the tank she's in is got a big centerpiece that they can use as a slide out. Here she is. And as you can see, the girl is standing on the island in the center. By the not the FDA, not NOAA, but I can't remember, the Department of Agriculture who oversees it. Her enclosure is way too small. Yet, because of corporate power, big money coming from the captive industry, the Miami Seaquarium has managed to keep her here and fight the efforts of the people of Washington State and the Pacific Northwest. Now it's been sold. And sadly, in '94, they changed the law for the Marine Mammal Protection Act of moving cetaceans. They no longer need to go through the process of getting a permit. All they have to do is send a letter and say, we're taking Lolita to Loro Parkway in Spain. That's that. So anyway, there's a lot of people scurrying right now because Seaquarium sold. They want to get her into this proposed sea-pen where El Pod goes by all the time. So it would be a way that she could transition back into her world and become a part of the Pacific Northwest again. So anyway, and anyone who wants more information on that, you saw the Orca Network. Howard Garrett is doing a great job, and I would, suggest to anyone, go check it out. Go see what they're doing up there, because and this is her real name is Tokate. That is what the Indian name for Lolita is, and that's what they call her in the Puget Sound. And they just named a ferry after her. So they're really serious about getting this whale home. So I hope that by next year, I'm gonna be going, look at her in her C-pen. Okay. Okay, so this is kind of my other area of specialty, which would be anti-hunting. Everyone has a right to their own opinion, but I'm from the camp where scientists are on the verge of giving cetaceans non-human person status. You know, what I'm asking and what we're asking the world is